Hello, everybody. I am so happy to be jumping on here today to share with you about another question that I get asked often. And this one was brought to me by Christina. Now, before I answer her question, I want to hear from any of you who are listening in live. If you're listening in live, comment below where you are tuning in from. I'm here in Seattle, Washington, and as I look out the window, it is raining. And I am sure many of you know the story about Seattle that it's always raining. Well, it's raining today. Anyway, so where are you tuning in from? Drop where you're tuning in from and let me know that you're listening live so I can keep an idea of who is watching and keep an idea on the comments. So Christina is a part of my Facebook group here for the parents of kids with ADHD, and just recently reached out to me and said this: I'm new here. My son has ADHD and anxiety, and I want to help him, but don't really have an idea where to start. What should I do first? Now, Christina, this is such a great question, and it's one I get asked very often. So I wanted to address it here in this week's edition of Burning Questions. Now, one thing I teach every family I work with is that diet is the foundation of everything we do. If our diet isn't good, we can never function at our best. Now, a lot of people don't realize there's a huge connection between our gut health and our brain health. Now, 95% of our serotonin and 50% of our dopamine is made in our guts. These neurotransmitters are our feel-good hormones that help us both manage emotions and maintain mood balance. So if we're not feeding and looking after our guts, then our body won't be able to make enough of these vital neurotransmitters. I often think of it like when you're building a house, a solid foundation isn't optional. It's totally a necessity. And if you don't have a solid foundation, that house, it's not going to be very strong and it may fall down. It's exactly the same way with us. Now, diet is our foundation. If our diet is poor, we can never function at our best. That's true for us as adults, but it's also true for our children. Now, because of this, when I work with families, the first issue we address is diet. I encourage families to remove some of the most common inflammatory foods from their diet and replace these foods with healthier alternatives and more whole foods. This is where I would suggest you start in this process. So begin by cutting out the 3 most inflammatory foods, and they are gluten, dairy, and soy. Now, I know it can seem really, really overwhelming, and what I always tell my clients is that Rome was not built in a day. You do not have to cut everything all at once. Seriously. Begin by maybe changing breakfast. Okay, and when you're comfortable there, move to snacks, then to lunch, then to dinner, or whatever works best for you and your family. Or you could begin by changing 1 meal a week and then slowly adjust them all until they're all changed. The important thing is to go slow, so it's not so overwhelming for you. You want to take small, slow, sequential steps to make this easy, to make it doable, but also make it sustainable. Because if it's not sustainable, you're going to give up. And we don't want that for you. So that's what I would suggest you do first. I also want to pop a link into the comments of my free webinar where I offer to families who are just getting started. The webinar walks you through the 4 things my family did to help my son reduce his ADHD symptoms. So I'm going to totally pop that link in the comments after I get off here. But Christina, I hope that that helps you get started. If you need any support on implementing any of that, feel free to message me or drop a comment below. Or if there's anyone out there that's listening that wants some support on how they can reduce their child's ADHD symptoms, just drop a message below and me and my team would be happy to help. Guys, have a wonderful weekend and I will talk to you next week. Take care.